So this, again, this set here is a rainbow unicorn. So I've got 2 unicorns here, and it's the unicorn heads. These are the most popular shape, and I actually sell these at the studio. And then we've got a rose with some leaves. We've got 2 different styles of rainbows. One is just the rainbow itself, and one is a smaller rainbow with a cloud. And then we've got a little star and a heart. Okay. So those that are familiar with how this goes, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to outline everything, and then we'll go back and we'll flood. And so I've got lots of colors for this set here, and we'll kind of go over those as we move along. So I've got lots of photos pulled up over here on my computer for some inspiration. A lot of times when I'm doing these sets, I've actually never done them before. I kind of make them up as I go. I kind of have an idea in my head. And then I get on here and hope for the best. So I spent a lot of time looking at different pictures, and while I'm talking, I'm just going to go ahead and mush up these bags just to kind of remix them. So I look at a lot of pictures. A lot of people ask me, how do I get my ideas? To be honest, I mean, I'm on lots of cookie groups on Facebook, and then I also follow a lot of cookiers on Instagram. And then when I first started, I would go to Pinterest a lot, and sometimes I will go ahead and jump on over to Pinterest from time to time, especially during the holidays, because it seems to be a lot of things out there on Pinterest during the holidays. But for the most part, I see a lot of stuff just in the cookier groups that I'm a part of, and also on Instagram as well. And there's just lots and lots of ideas out there. And so basically what I do is I just kind of look, and if I run across something, I'm like, oh my gosh, I like that a lot, I'll just like do a picture grab of it and save it. And I've got a little file in my Dropbox that's just kind of like design inspirational photos. And so and then from there I'll kind of create my sets and take little bits and pieces of different things that I've seen and kind of make my own spin on it. So that's how it usually happens. And so I've got about 8 photos right now that I'm going to kind of be looking at throughout this design set, and working on pulling different things that I like from those photos to create my own set here. So I hope that answers that question. So I pretty much have all of these bags mixed up really good. And so we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a marker, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just kind of draw out the design. So these are edible markers, and these are the brand that I sell at the studio here in White House. I really like these because they have one large pen on one side and then a smaller on the other side. And they tend to be a lot more durable. Now you can pick up edible markers really anywhere. So what we're going to do first of all is I'm going to take my 2 unicorns here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come in here and basically along the nose portion here, I'm going to come up, and I'm just going to kind of go up and over, make an arch. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put them side by side so I can get them pretty much the same. About like that. So this up here is going to be white, and down here is going to be, Bailey just made some kind of noise, a light pink down here. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and just flood all of this white, and then we'll do the little horn up at the top. So I guess we could go ahead and draw out up here just some little swirls going up for the horn. Let's do about 3 of those. Kind of, you don't want them to be straight diagonals, you want them to kind of have a little bit of a curve to those lines. Then we're also going to take our star, and we're going to make a little cute little star unicorn out of this. So we're going to come in here and we're going to do that same thing on this top. Just going to make that top point a horn. So I'm just going to kind of move this over. Then we're going to take this rainbow here. And first of all, we're just going to go ahead and pull out our cloud here. So just draw out the cloud shape here. And then here on our rainbow, we're going to come down at the bottom, and we're going to do 5 little dots, and we're going to just kind of space them out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then up here, we're going to go ahead and just draw like a little diagonal line right underneath the cloud. And we're going to put a dot in the middle. And then you're going to do 2 dots on each side, and you're just going to kind of space them out evenly. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so then we're going to just curve and connect those dots. And this is where doing the edible marker work is really handy, because if you are not happy with your lines, you can fix it with your icing. Like I kind of curved that one a little bit too much probably, so I'll probably just straighten it out a little bit when I do my icing. Alright, and next we're going to work on a little rose here. So basically we're just going to kind of come in and section off this leaf here. And then again, we're just going to kind of come around and section off those leaves. Then we're going to take our big rainbow and so what we're going to do here is we're going to just draw a line from the bottom of the arch straight up. And so on each of these sides, we're going to do kind of what we did over here. Excuse me. We're going to put a dot in the middle on each side. And then we're going to put 2 dots on either side of that one, kind of space them out evenly. So 2 and 2. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. And then up here, I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to find the middle to the best that I can. It's okay if it's not perfect. And I'm going to put a dot. And then I'm going to focus on this, and I'm going to kind of split it up with 2 dots so that each of these are about the same size, and then the same up here, 2 dots. So they're about the same size. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a line angled out and a line angled out. Okay, and we're just going to focus on this line here first, and so we're just going to find the middle, and we're going to put a dot, and then 2 dots splitting this up on either side, and then 2 dots on that side. And then again here, we're just going to kind of find the middle of this, and then put your 2 dots to split that up evenly. And these are just going to kind of be our guides for when we do our icing. So what you can do if you want, if you don't want to do this, if you just want to use this as your guides, you certainly can do it that way. But if you want to, you can go ahead and come in here and you can just connect these, a little bit of a curve. That way you're just kind of working within the section. And so this will really help you later when you're doing your icing. So we're just going to connect here. And then of course when you're doing your lines, you can definitely smooth out and clean up any of it that you're not real happy with. but this will kind of help your eyes. When we're doing the icing later. Okay, and then also you can kind of say, okay, I need to come in here or do a little bit something different. That way you're not just doing it with the icing itself if you're not comfortable with that. And now you have an opportunity to kind of get it as even as possible. And then once you get all the icing on there, it's gonna look super cute anyways. You're not gonna see all the little bitty variations in the sizes. It'll still look super cute even if it may be just a little bit off. So don't stress out too much. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to begin to kind of outline some things. And so I'm going to take my green and I'm just going to give it a good mush here in the bag. And then I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm just going to cut the tip of that bag. All right. And then if you have a paper plate or something off to the side you can use, just give it a squeeze and just make sure that you're able to get a good flow as you squeeze that icing out. And we're going to come in here and we're just going to outline our leaves on our rose. So you want to hold the bag up so that the icing can create a thin line. So I'm just going to go ahead and outline these leaves here. Like that. We're going to take our white, and again I'm just going to give a little bit of a mixing here. Then I'm going to cut the tip of that bag. Okay. I'm going to take my 2 unicorns and I'm going to start right here at the horn, and then I'm going to go up the ears, around the side of the face, and then down around where we drew our line, and back up, and up that ear, and back around. So we're going to go ahead and do that on both. So I'm just going to come in here and go around the outside edge. Now you want to be sure that your icing is still on the top surface of the cookie. You don't want it to be going over the edge of the cookie. You want it to stay on the top surface, but really close to that edge. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and take our star. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We're just going to outline across. Hey, sweetie, you need me?
I was seeing if you were decorating cookies and making a video.
Did you need me?
I was going to ask if
Oh, I'll bring it to you when I'm done, baby.
Okay.
And we're just going to outline. Now, this is a good example here. I'm not really happy with this side kind of being more curved. So I'm going to take my scribe tool and I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to scrape that off. good to have wipes or a wet paper towel. And then I'm just going to come back in here and do this side again and give it a little bit more definition on that turn. There we go. All right, we're going to take our light pink, and again, I'm just going to cut the bag. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to outline this bottom portion of the unicorn with that light pink. Like that. Now I'm going to take my dark purple Julie asked, how do I determine which icing color to start with? Should you use light colors first or does it matter? So that's a really good question. You know, when I'm doing this, I'm more thinking about the process of what needs to kind of happen first in the design. I don't think about the colors themselves. And the reason I don't have to worry about that is because I use Americolor food coloring, which is what I sell at the studio. And so I've never had any issues whatsoever with any kind of color bleeds at all. So when I'm doing this, I'm more just kind of thinking about what portions of the cookies need to be done first so that we can kind of get through the process as fast as possible and as the easiest as possible. But then I also pause because I know people who are watching this video need a little bit of time to get caught up with me, and I know that because I've done so many workshops. So I try not to go too fast. I try to leave time so that people can get caught up with me if they're using this video to decorate their own set at home. So it's more about the actual process of knowing I need certain things to happen before others, if that makes sense. And it's actually a little bit different sometimes than what I would do normally if I was just decorating for an order. Okay, so I'm going to take the dark purple and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to outline this heart. And so you want to be sure that you hold that icing bag up in the air so that you get a good outline. You don't want to drag the tip on the cookie and you don't want to hold it too close either. And you just want to give it a gentle and consistent pressure at the top. So just outline that. All right. So next we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take our little rose here and we're gonna go ahead and outline the rest of the portions of this cookie with the pink, the light pink. And I'm not real happy with the top. I kind of have to do this at an angle. And it's kind of off of the edge a little bit. So I'm just gonna scrape that off. Probably need to bring them a little bit closer to me. I'm trying to keep it in frame for you guys. And sometimes it's hard for me to see if I'm going off the edge a little bit. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna just kind of outline the outer section of our rainbow here. And so we're gonna start with our dark purple. Just a second. I got somebody else asking a question here real quick. Let me look at this. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start with our dark purple. And we're going to just go around. Well, let me wipe this tip here. So I'm just going to go around the top portion. Just going to go all the way around. Okay. And then I'm going to take my little rainbow here. And I'm going to go up to the cloud outline and just come on down. That outside edge. And then I'm going to take my light pink and I'm going to do the inside edge with the light pink. And then on this inside here up to the cloud outline and then just down this other side. Okay, so now this is kind of our guideline for everything. Oh, excuse me. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go over here to my rosettes, and we're gonna go ahead and flood in this green. So we're gonna give it a good firm squeeze at the top of the bag, and we're holding it pretty close to the surface, but we're not touching the cookie, but we are holding it close. And then we're going to go ahead and do one on the other side. Okay, I'm going to wipe that clean. And then I'm going to take my scribe tool, and I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to agitate the surface of that green to get it to smooth out. Same for the other side. I'm just going to agitate the surface. And then if you want to use this opportunity to kind of pull it in over the top of your outline a little bit to cover that outline, you can do that as well. And we're just going to do one of the side leaves here so that they don't blend together. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our unicorns. I'm going to turn these right to the side so I can kind of see them a little bit better. I'm going to take my yellow icing, and I haven't cut this one yet, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a mush and then cut the tip. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is on these little horns, I'm going to do this first section. I'm just going to outline over my marker, and then I'm going to go ahead and flood that section in. So I'm going to go ahead and come in here and flood that first section with my yellow. And then I'm going to skip a section, and then I'm going to come up and flood this middle one here. Okay, and then I'm just going to clean off the tip of that yellow bag. And I'm going to take my light pink, and I'm going to go ahead and flood in the bottom section. So I'm just going to squeeze with a good amount of pressure at the top of the bag, and I'm squeezing holding the bag like this. So I'm supporting the bag at the top. I'm not relying upon a clip or a tag. I'm just really using my hand to support the top of the bag so it doesn't pop or come open. Okay, so I'm just going to come in here and flood this. I'm going to use my scribe tool. Come in here and smooth this out. Okay, and then I'm going to do the second unicorn nose here with a light pink. And I always go around the outside first and make that connection to the outline. And then work my way to the middle, touching icing to icing, making sure I cover completely the entire surface of the cookie. And sometimes you don't quite get all the way connected, and so it's good that you come in with your scribe tool and you just, while you're agitating the surface to get it to smooth out, that you can push that icing up into the corners and kind of over your outline a little bit as well if you want to. So I'm just going to kind of scoot those over here out of the way a little bit. And I'm going to go back to my rose here. And let's go ahead and fill in this other leaf at this time with the green. So go ahead and fill the leaf in. The second leaf that we left earlier. Okay. I'll clean off my scribe tool. Okay, so now I'm gonna move that out of the way a little bit, and I'm gonna bring towards me my rainbows. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna flood in this first section of pink. So I'm gonna come in here and outline this. And I'm just gonna flood this first section of pink. So I'm just gonna go around and do this little outline. And then flood that in. And then I'm gonna take my scribe tool and I'm gonna go ahead and just smooth all of that out. Sometimes you'll see little air bubbles in the icing, and you can use your scribe tool to kind of pop those. They just occur naturally in this type of icing. So just smooth all of that out and then get it shaped how you need it. If one side is wider, go ahead and make the other side about the same width by just moving it around a little bit. All right. I'm going to push those up a little bit, and I'm going to get my rose again, and I'm going to go ahead and just fill this rose in with that light pink. So again, I'm just going to go around the outside edge. Go right up next to that green, and then come in here and just touch icing to icing and flood this in. Okay, clean off my icing bag, and then I'm going to take my scribe tool, and I'm just going to come in here and smooth this out by agitating the surface. I'm going to give it a little bit of a stab, and I'm just going to kind of shake it a little bit on my little marble slab here. It's pretty slick, so I can get it to slide pretty easy. And then I'm just going to kind of finish that with my scribe tool. Okay. Bring this out a little bit more up here at the top. There we go. There we go. All right, next we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our unicorns and our star, and we're going to flood these with our white. So I'm just going to take my white icing bag, and I'm just going to start going up next to my outline. And just go all the way around the shape of this unicorn head. Okay, and then you'll just come in here and you'll continue on touching icing to icing until you work your way to the middle of the cookie. Okay. So again, if you see any little bubbles, you can pop those with your scribe tool. Pull it down into any little areas that you might want to get it pulled down into. Okay, let's go ahead and do the second unicorn here. Okay, so again, just take your scribe tool, pull it down into any of these little corners that you want it to make a better connection to. Pop any little air bubbles that you might see. Okay. Try to move this. There we go. So usually when I'm decorating, I don't really move the cookies around as much as I do when I'm doing a tutorial. The reason I'm moving them around so much is so that I'm trying to make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing. Without it being too far off to the side or anything like that. Okay, clean my bag. It's always good to have a wet paper towel or some wipes handy because you will definitely get icing on your hands. Sometimes I just don't even know how it happens, but it definitely does. I'm going to turn this so I can see a little bit better. It's hard for me to see at the angle that I'm at. So you're just going to use your scribe tool to kind of clean it up and pull that wet icing over a little bit over the top of your outline to get some sharper points to this star. Not too far because you don't want it to start to pour over, but just enough to give it a little bit more definition. All right. Then we're going to go ahead and take our yellow again and we're going to just flood in these other sections on these horns here. So it might be that you just put as much as you can and then shape it with your scribe tool. Okay. I kind of mushed that one a little bit earlier. Oops. Okay. And let's go ahead and flood in this purple heart here. I'll take my purple. I'm going to go ahead and flood this in. So I'm going to squeeze with a good amount of pressure at the top of the bag. And I'm just going to work my way around that edge first, touching the wet icing to the outline. And then I'm going to just continue to follow around the shape of the heart, touching the wet icing to the icing that I just laid down. And you want to try not to leave any gaps. You want to just continue to touch icing to icing as you go. Now sometimes you will accidentally leave a gap, and you can do just like I just did there a couple of times, just push it around with the bag. Okay, so since this cookie is just all solid and it doesn't have any other sections to it that are setting up, I'm going to go ahead and pick this up and I'm going to give it a shake. Now you want to be careful that you have a really good hold on it. We've been doing workshops and people will sling their cookies. So make sure you have a good hold on it. And then I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to pop these little bubbles. And then if you see any of these little lines in the icing color from the water separated, you can definitely take your scribe tool and just kind of swirl around to kind of mix that in a little bit better. You can also tap it, and that'll help smooth it down as well. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump back over here to our rainbows here. And we're gonna go ahead and flood in the purple. So we're gonna start at the outline of our cloud. And we're just gonna come in here and we're just gonna flood this purple in. And smooth that out with my scribe tool. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and do this outside purple here. And then I'm just going to flood this in. So I'm just going to give it a good squeeze at the top to press that icing out. And I'm just going to slowly make my way around. There might be a little bit of gaps, that's fine. I'll go in and fix it with my scribe tool. Now the bottom will be narrower than the top because of the shape of this arch here. So I'm going to start over here where I first began, and I'm going to make sure that the bottom is good and smooth and even. And then, I'm going to make sure I don't put my arm in that. I'm actually going to turn this so I can see a little bit better. Yeah, there's a spot here. Need to make sure I make that connection. And just make my way around to the other side. Okay. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're going to skip, well no, I don't guess we have to skip because that pink's already kind of dried a little bit. So let's go ahead and take our dark pink and I'm just gonna mush it up in the bag a bit. And I'm gonna cut the tip. And I'm going to go ahead and do my outline. It's not quite even right there. Clay's making some kind of weird noise. All right, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to flood this in. Bailey's in here napping, making noises too. All right, so I'm just going to work my way around. Flooding in that bright pink. It's a little bit of a thinner consistency than these other two colors, so it pretty smoothed out pretty easily there. So I'm just going to make sure I bring it on down all the way to the edge here with my scribe tool. That all looks pretty good to me. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to take my smaller one, clean the tip off, go all the way to where I drew out my cloud, swing it on down, and then I'm going to go ahead and flood this in. Clean off my bag and then smooth that out with my scribe tool. And just kind of bring it on down to the very bottom here. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna skip and I'm just gonna do the middle, and that's gonna be a teal color. And so I'm gonna grab my teal here and give it a little mix. And I'm gonna cut the tip of this bag. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do this small one here. So I'm gonna go up to the cloud. Do that on both sides. And this is where you can really correct your spacing if you need to. If you're your line work with your edible marker wasn't exactly how you wanted it, excuse me, you can fix that here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and smooth that out. Bring it down to the bottom all the way. Okay. Same thing here. I got kind of a wonky outline going on. So I'm just going to focus on this inside first. Okay. Come back up and around the other side. Okay. So I'm just going to fill this in. Clean off my bag. And then take my scribe tool here and smooth it out if I need to, especially down here at the bottom. If there's any little areas that you need to shape a little bit better, you can do that while the icing is still wet. Okay. So we're going to kind of push those up out of the way, and we're going to get our unicorns here. Actually, let's go ahead and work on our rosette first. Let's do this first. Okay, so on our little rosette, we're going to take our dark pink. You want to make sure that the tip of the bag is good and clean. So the first thing we're going to do in the middle of this is we're just going to start in the middle. And we're going to swing around and over like a little curlicue, almost like I guess like a number 6 that's sideways, like or a letter G. And then out here on this outside edge, we're going to come in a little bit. We're going to do a line out like this. And then we're going to do another line out like that. And then here in this side, we're going to do a line that comes in a little bit. So there's a little bit more space out here. We're going to go back to the middle, and we're going to start at this point, and we're just going to swing around and connect it there. Out here, we're going to kind of swing in and then out and make that connection. And then over here on this one, we're going to swing out a little bit and back in. We're going to go ahead and fill in this middle. So just kind of come in here and fill that in. We're going to go ahead and start a little bit inside this and swing it out and over. And go ahead and fill in this section over here. On this side, just go ahead and fill that in. Go ahead and fill in this other little section here. All right, then down here, we're gonna start, at this point, we're gonna swing up. We're gonna sweep it in and around again. And then one more time here. On this section, we're going to go ahead and swing it around and then connect it there. On this line here, we're going to go ahead and swing it up and around. Then we're going to bring this over into here, and we're just going to swing it around to this other side. You can go ahead and fill in this outside section here. You want to be sure to keep your tip of your bag cleaned off while you're working on this rose. We're going to start this line over here. And we're just going to swing it around and up. Gonna go ahead and pull this line out and swing it into this area here and bring it back around to connect. We can go ahead and fill in this outside section. So just remember, when you're flooding, you're holding it close and giving it a little bit more pressure to get it to fill in instead of holding it up. All right, then we're going to pull this line into this section here, connect it, and we'll go ahead and flood in this other side. And then we'll go ahead and flood in this other last section here. And that completes our little rose. Little rose cookie. All right, so I'm going to set that up here out of the way a little bit. We're going to go ahead and finish flooding in our rainbow here. So I'm going to take my yellow and I'm going to place that in between my pink and my teal. So I'm just going to, I don't have to outline, so I'm just going to flood this in with my yellow. And I'm just going to push that yellow right up next to the teal and right up next to that bright pink. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take my scribe tool and smooth all that out. Okay, and then again on my smaller rainbow here, I'm going to go up next to where I drew my cloud outline with my marker, and then I'm just going to come down here and fill this in between the bright pink and the teal. Clean off my bag here and smooth that out. right, and then now I've got this, it's a fuchsia purple, and so I'm just gonna mix that in the bag real good. Make sure it's good and mixed in. Take my scissors and cut the bag open. And then I'm gonna go ahead and flood in this last section here. All right, and then go ahead and come in here. Okay, clean off my bag. And then take my scribe tool, make sure it's clean. And just begin to smooth that out. Make sure it's good and connected to the other sides. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get my unicorns here. Move those over in front of me. My little star unicorn. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my bright pink here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start up by this, by the horn. And we're going to start here, and we're just going to come down, and we're going to swoop up and over. So down and swoop up and over. And the same thing on this one here. We're going to come down and swoop up and over. Then we're going to swing around. And bring that out and widen it. And then of course your star is going to be a little bit smaller because it's not as much space. And we're going to go ahead and fill that in. And then of course if you want to use your scribe tool to kind of shape it, you can. Clean off my bag here. We're going to go ahead and take our light pink, and then up here on the ears, we're just going to do these little triangle shapes in that light pink, and we're going to go ahead and fill that in. So at the bottom, you don't want it to be like a real straight line. You want the bottom of your little triangle to kind of follow the curve of the, right here, you want it to kind of curve in a little bit. Then you can take your scribe tool and smooth that out. And we'll go ahead and do that on both of our unicorns here. And then clean off my bag. And I'm going to go ahead and smooth those down with my scribe tool. Okay. Then I'm going to take my fuchsia, which is the same purple I did my last little bit on my rainbow. And I'm going to come over here in this area, and I'm just going to kind of swoop over. Right here, and swoop up and down and over. And you can smooth that out with your scribe tool. Now I'm going to take my dark purple, and down here in the little nose section, I'm going to start on one side with this purple, and I'm just going to do a little curlicue and another little curlicue. Same thing over here. A little curlicue and another little curlicue. And that's with a dark purple. And then over here, I forgot the little fuchsia on our star. So we'll come over here and we'll do our little fuchsia section on our star here. Don't want to leave out our little star unicorn. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and take our heart and our rainbow here with a cloud. I'm going to take our white icing. I'm going to clean the tip off. And I think, hang on just a second. Play. Can you let Bailey outside? Thank you. Trevor, can you let Bailey outside? My little doggy, I think, needs to go outside. Okay, so we're gonna take our white and we're just gonna come in here and we're gonna outline, and we're just gonna slightly go over the top of our colors just to make a good connection. And we're gonna go ahead and outline this cloud with some white. Okay. And then on our purple heart here, we're going to do one side, we're going to swoop down. We're going to do this with our white icing. Then we're going to go up and around that side. Just like that. I'm going to kind of move this up out of the way. we're going to take our dark purple. Okay. And we're going to come in here, we're just going to kind of swoop over on top of that pink. We'll kind of smooth that out a little bit there. Okay. And actually, you want to go ahead and make that connection to the horn. Make sure you've got any white covered. Like that. And then we're going to do this unicorn. So we're just going to kind of come in here and swing down and over on top of that pink. And then you can shape it with your scribe tool. Over on top of the pink a little bit, and then make sure you go across to cover any white on the horn here. There we go. And clean off my bag. Next, we're going to take our teal. We're just going to kind of fill this in and swing this out and up over on top of that pink a little bit. And smooth that out. Same thing here. I'm just going to come in here and fill this in. Swing on top of that pink a little bit. Again with the teal, swing down and up on the pink, and over that fuchsia, and fill in this little section here. Okay, now we're going to bounce back over here to our cloud, and we're going to flood this in with our white. So we're just going to come in here, we're just going to flood this in. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and flood in this little section that we just outlined on our heart with some white. And if you need to kind of pull that around to the top with your scribe tool. If you need to smooth any little areas out, go ahead and do that while this icing is still wet. Getting close to the end. Hi, Matthew. As soon as you pay for them. Matthew asked, when do we get to eat them? So in your, when you get the decorating kit for this particular set, you'll get a little cup of sprinkles, okay? And so while this white is still wet on this heart and this little cloud here, I'm gonna take some sprinkles here. And I usually just kind of pour them into the lid. I'm just going to take a few of these big ones here. Okay. And then you're just going to take some of these sprinkles and you're just going to kind of drop them in that wet icing there. Now I wouldn't recommend going all over the cloud. I would just stay to one side of it. But you could go ahead and cover all of the white here on the heart, and that would still look okay and cute. So just come in here and place those sprinkles. And then you can use your scribe tool to kind of tap them down and make sure that they're good and connected to that wet icing. Oh, that one did not end up where I wanted it to be. Okay, so I think that's about it as far as the sprinkles go. Okay. So here's the completed heart and completed rainbow here with the little sprinkles. And then we've also got our completed rose here. So I'm just gonna kind of move these that are finished off to the side. And then of course the big rainbow here is done. So all we really have left to do is finish up our unicorns. Okie dokie, let's see here. So there's a lot of different ways you can do your eyes on your unicorn. I have found that really the cutest way and the simplest way, you could let these dry completely and use an edible marker if you don't want to use icing. And I do that a lot as well. But I'm just going to take my black icing bag and I'm just going to cut a very small little line, or the tip, I'm going to cut it very small so that it makes a pretty thin line here. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to go up, down, and then out, and give it a little lash. So up and over, down and out, and a little bit of a lash. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on that one. Then on this one, I'm going to go down and up, and then down, and up. On this little guy here, I'm going to come down a little bit and I'm going to do a circle. And a circle. Now I'm going to take my scribe tool and I'm going to kind of shape this out a little bit to make sure that they're the same shape and size, because it's kind of hard to do with just the icing there. And then I'm going to take my white icing. I'm going to make sure the bag is clean. And I'm just going to add a tiny little dot of white up at the top, and then a tiny little dot at the bottom for a little reflective light there in the eyes. Back over here on this one, I'm just going to add some little eyelashes. Like that. I'm going to come in here and add some little eyelashes coming off of this one. And then I'm gonna give him a little smiley face. Just simple and cute. So when you get this kit, or when you come to the workshop, you're gonna get a little cup with some gold. It's edible gold paint with a brush. And you see I've got icing on my hand. I don't even know how that happened. Clean that off. So you have some edible gold here. And we're gonna paint. And then of course, this is optional. If you don't want to paint this gold, you don't have to. It'll be optional on your order form if you get the kit. So we're just going to come in here and we're going to paint this horn with this gold here. So this yellow is not completely dry, but it's firm enough to where you can go ahead and paint it. If you wanted to go ahead and wait a couple of hours just for it to be completely dry, you can certainly do it that way as well. So I'm just turning them around because it's easier for me to see. All right, turn this one around. Another thing you could do that's optional, I'm not going to do it, but you could paint the little ears gold if you wanted to. You can also come over here and on your little sprinkles on your rainbow, you've got some little stars. You could actually add a little bit of gold to those little stars. Or any sprinkles really. You could just kind of choose some and add a little gold to them. You could also paint the yellow section of your rainbow. You could paint this little gold, yellow section. With the gold. Sorry, I just realized I'm not in the frame here. And again, this is optional. You could just leave it yellow. It doesn't have to be gold. But I have a feeling, most of y'all are gonna want to paint it gold. So just take your time with it. Okay. And then over here, I've got some little sprinkles that I'll paint gold up here as well. You could really paint any of them with that gold if you wanted, just to add it. Okay. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna paint this other yellow section gold. Might as well, right? Okie dokie. So now we just have a tiny, tiny little bit left on our unicorn, and then we'll be done. All right. So there's that, this. Move that up. Gonna swirl these around. Now this is just a little bit of definition on the mane that we're gonna do. And so we're just going to come in here and we're gonna make sure that your tip of the bag is clean. And we're just gonna start here. We're gonna drop down and swing it over. Start here, swing it down, back up. Start at the side over here, swing it down and back up. Okay. Then we're gonna take our bright pink. We're gonna start up here, swing it down and back up. Swing it up. Here, down, swing it up. And then we're gonna take our teal. Make sure the tip is clean. Down and up. Here, swing down and up. And down and up. And then our fuchsia. And down and up. Down and up. And again, down and up. All right. So if you wanted to, you could add like a little flower up here. I'm not gonna do that tonight, but you could, after that dried, you could go in there with a little bit of green and do a couple leaves and add a little flower to the mane. So there's a lot of different things you can do to finish, finish that up if you wanted to with a little flower. So that completes our little rainbow unicorn set. That was kind of a long tutorial, but there was a lot going on, and then we have 7 cookies here to do. So thank y'all for watching, and as soon as these dry, I'll take some pictures and I'll post the next workshop and take home kit for this set. Y'all have a good night.